Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. The Honorable Senator Liu Ching-tong, Deputy Minister of Defence, His Excellency Michael Pols, Ambassador of Australia, His Excellency Dr. Julin Danfield, Ambassador of Sweden, Yang Berbahagia Jeneral Tan Sri Dato Sri Panglima Haji Ahmad Asbullah bin Haji Muhammad Nawawi, Chief of Army, Yang Berbahagia Admiral Tan Sri Muhammad Reza bin Muhammad Sani, Chief of Navy, Yang Berbahagia Lieutenant General Dato Haji Muhammad Asgar Khan bin Goriman Khan, RMAF, Deputy Chief of Air Force, Yang Besar Wan Masdura binti Ahmad, Deputy Secretary General Development, Yang Besar Tuan Haji Ahmad Nazri bin Muhammad Hassan, Deputy Secretary General Policy, distinguished guests, speakers, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good morning. It gives me a great pleasure to be with all of you this morning at this Perwira Dialogue 2020. I would like to thank the organizers, the Malaysian Institute of Defence and Security or MIDAS, for inviting me to be part of this esteemed event. Last year we had 4 series of the Perwira Dialogue in getting ideas and input to generate our first ever defence white paper. We are also aware that the paper was tabled and approved by Parliament at the end of the year. It was the culminating of a year hard work by the dedicated team of this white paper. I consider it relatively quick for a first-timer to produce our first ever defence white paper. Hence, I would like to take this opportunity to commend the team, individual and parties who have in one way or another contributed to the success in materializing the paper. I am indeed delighted to be here, as this is my first time addressing this dialogue since my appointment as the Chief of Defence Force. This year we are on another chapter of our journey in materializing the vision of the white paper. It is an excellent opportunity for me to share my insight in charting the course for the Malaysian Armed Forces to safely navigate through the future challenges as outlined in the white paper. I could not agree more on the strategic outlook laid out in the white paper, as it is not my intention to dwell more on it. But in a nutshell, the Malaysian Armed Forces is not only operating in challenging and complex times, but it is also facing competing budgetary priorities, aging assets, and the rise of non-traditional security challenges. Besides all this, the Malaysian Armed Forces is also required to be engaged in military operations other than war or mutawar. While Malaysia upholds the principle of prosperity never, that is in line with the principle of zone of peace, freedom and neutrality, also known as ZOFAN, a revolution in military affairs is indeed crucial for the armed forces to remain relevant and efficient. It is not only obtaining new technologies, but also developing appropriate doctrine, operational concept and force structure to ensure that we are ever ready in time of need. As such, in order to meet state-of-the-art demand and perhaps ramification, we require a blueprint of force structure in line with the needs to transform toward becoming an integrated, agile and focused armed forces. This, as you all may be aware, is reflected in our very first defence white paper. The paper is a roadmap for the Malaysian Armed Forces long-term capability development effort, vis-a-vis in ensuring its readiness to meet the growing complex and multi-dimensional challenges confronting us today and in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most durable outcomes of this white paper is Government of Malaysia's commitment to pursue the 3 pillars of defence strategy, namely concentric deterrent, comprehensive security and credible partnership, in line with the Malaysian vision as a secure, sovereign and prosperous nation. Together, these 3 pillars support our position as a maritime nation with continental route between the Asia-Pacific and Indian Ocean region. Each pillar is being pursued in ways that position Malaysia to maximize our potential as a bridging linchpin between the two ocean regions, turning our geographical advantages into strategic and development dividend. The first pillar anchors the direction for developing force structure and prioritizing asset acquisition necessary to credibly pursue concentric defence as the principal pillar of Malaysia defence strategy, along the core, extended and forward area of interest. It also identified ways to enhance, intensify the jointness and integration between services, amplifying our capabilities in all key domains to perform its primary and supporting role. Besides this, it aimed to revolutionise the Malaysian armed forces into a highly integrated, agile and focused force for safeguarding the country's national interest. This pillar affirmed the Malaysian armed forces' determination to acquire the necessary defence capabilities, inclusive of state-of-the-art technologies, combat power and other means to achieve its tactical and operational objective in support of Malaysian defence strategy. The subsequent pillar put forward the rationale and implementation of comprehensive defence as the second pillar of Malaysian defence strategy. It emphasized that the nation defence depends not only on the Malaysian armed forces and other government security agencies, but also all in society and the rakyat, in ensuring the appropriate readiness at all levels. It is also eliminates the government intent to further developing a defence workforce by laying out an actionable plan for optimizing the role of volunteer forces in way complementary to the regular forces. In light of this, it also reaffirmed the government commitment to ensuring the well-being of all forces in terms of career development, healthcare aids and social support, including re-employment opportunities for the veterans. Lastly, this pillar also highlights the element that make comprehensive defence as an enhanced version of HANRO or total defence, which emphasizes that defence is everybody's responsibility. And as for the last pillar, it clearly reflects the saying that no man is an island. Credible partnership as the third pillar of Malaysian defence strategy describes Malaysia international defence engagement as a bilateral, regional and global level. To date, the Malaysian Armed Forces has an excellent track record in this aspect. Credible partnership eliminates the benefit of this multi-level defence partnership, specifically in terms of enhancing Malaysian defence capability and security, fostering regional stability, shaping Malaysia's security relations with key actors, managing common security challenges, and promoting Malaysia's international image and influence. It is also analyzed the source of Malaysia's credibility as a defence partner to better identify approaches through which Malaysia could further benefit and reap from this engagement in a way that boosts its implementation of concentric defence and comprehensive force defence. In light of all this, the Malaysian Armed Forces have to adapt accordingly to the changing strategic environment so that it is capable of carrying out its mission effectively and efficiently. Notwithstanding this fact, the role of the Malaysian Armed Forces is to defend the nation and its strategic interests against external aggression and to support the civil authorities in maintaining internal security. This mandate is, without any doubt, something that we have to bear at all times and will not be compromised at any cost. In upholding this role, our loyalty to the King, country and government of the day shall not be questioned, and the Malaysian Armed Forces as the nation's shield will remain a political indefinitely. Ladies and gentlemen, developing the future force is an important aspect to implement the first pillar of our national defence strategy, i.e. concentric defence, which aims to dissuade all forms of external intrusion or conflict, as well as to carry out the various requirements of UNTAR. Here, in order for us to carry this role, our force structure and force posture need to be reshaped to address the ever uncertain security environment better, while our force size is poised to remain at the current force level throughout the Defence White Paper period. Repurposing and reprioritization will be carried out to meet future requirements. More emphasis will also be given toward enhancing joint capabilities in preparing for any contingency, from armed intervention to natural disaster, and realizing the needs to conduct two theatre operations simultaneously between Peninsular Malaysia and the island of Sabah and Sarawak. In the context of acquiring the desired force, as some term it as the objective force or the future force, let me establish a number of determinants. Firstly, the envisaged future force will be defensive in nature but with offensive capabilities. Aspects of force projection and strike capabilities are crucial, taking in cognizance of our very porous concentric area of interest, especially in terms of geographical disposition of land, sea and air boundaries. Secondly, the future force must be able to operate in both theatres independently and simultaneously. Thirdly, able to operate in all domains: land, maritime, air and cyber electromagnetic. It is also important to note that Malaysian Armed Forces has predominantly been in the past single service centric due to the nature of and dynamic of previous warfare as well as service requirement. However, today that premise has changed significantly and is now multiple centric, involving all domains of modern battle space. Having said that, no one today can be on their own or rely on their own merits and capabilities. People rely on one another, and interdependence is crucial for survival. This is further influenced by the cyber electromagnetic domains that has greatly impacted on how we do things, and in our context on how we fight today, tomorrow and in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, the development of the future force is currently based on our strategic development plan known as the Fourth Dimension Malaysian Armed Forces or 4D MAF, as well as individual service development plan. Nonetheless, with the revolution of our first ever Defence White Paper, there is an immediate need to review the current document, produce a new capability development reformation plan that caters for all requirements of the White Paper. Taking cognizance of the fact that Malaysia is a maritime nation with continental route and as a bridging linchpin between the Asia-Pacific and Indian Ocean region, the Malaysian Armed Forces must be structured to provide the deterrent to dissuade both state and non-state actors from threatening our national interests. In this regard, the Malaysian Armed Forces must be able to detect, deter and deny threats across all these concentric areas at quickest available time frame, effectively and efficiently. The government long-term plan is to therefore develop a future force that is integrated, agile and focused. This force will be focused on the need to build capabilities and bridge identified gap to protect our national interests as well as to defend Malaysian sovereignty and territorial integrity at all times. Whichever way wanted, a military force should have the ability to execute a variety of operations pending the circumstances successfully. In the absence of well-defined enemy or an emerging threat, interest-based planning is presently given prime consideration. The intent here is to build up an array of joint military effects and capabilities, with the ability to universally mitigate the diverse form of threat, both traditional and non-traditional, looming across the uncertain geostrategic landscape. As such, the Malaysian Armed Forces welcome the Defence White Paper as it presents the nation with an excellent governance process, particularly in designing our national defence capability. This will indirectly build confidence with defense partners and reduce the security dilemma among regional and external countries. Hence, 2020 is an important year for the Malaysian Armed Forces. This year required us to prepare and coordinate all relevant doctrine and document in line with the Defence White Paper, especially the National Military Strategy, as well as reviewing the current 4D MAF. We thus need to take this opportunity and not to miss out on defence development and capacity building. In this regard, the Malaysian Armed Forces must work closely with MINDEF, especially the Defence Policy and Strategic Planning Division, to chart the way forward for the Malaysian Armed Forces. Meanwhile, at the service level, in some of you aware, there is a series of documents aimed at transforming the respective services and enhancing the defense capability. These are aimed to align the resources with the country's strategic interests. These documents are Army for Next Generation Strategic Development Plan that emphasizes enhancing the Army capability toward until 2050. The RMAF 15 to 5 transformation program, serving as a blueprint to turn the Navy into a balanced, credible and versatile armada by 2050. And the RMAF Capability Plan 2055, detailing its modernization plan up to 2055. Having said that, all the service plan as well as the 4D MAF must be reviewed as soon as possible to meet the requirement of the Defence White Paper. Developing among existing government documents, this White Paper presents a transformative strategy aimed at enhancing Malaysia's overall defence capability in a coherent way. This long-term blueprint seeks to translate the element of national power into national strength, which are robust enough to deter potential threat along with the concentric areas of the core extended and forward. As such, our capability must be comprehensive enough to continuously build resilience at home as well as credible enough to attract and expand circle of partnership abroad, as well as ensuring our readiness in meeting the growing complex and multi-dimensional challenges confronting us today and in the future. The Defence White Paper will be the drivers of all our activities henceforth, from acquisition, development, training and operation. In the meantime, a comprehensive study needs to be carried out to revisit it in accordance with the existing policies and plans so that the White Paper can be used as a catalyst for achieving the goal of the Malaysian Armed Forces Capability Development Effort. To this end, I have urged all the service chiefs to indulge in the said White Paper and realign all policies, doctrine and procedures whilst being prepared to review and coordinate their direction and provide an appropriate action plan that support the aspiration of the three-pillar defense strategy holistically. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to point out here that success in translating the Defence White Paper into a work process or action plan requires understanding and compliance at all levels of the Malaysian Armed Forces workforce, i.e., from the highest ranking officer to the last soldier on the ground. Having said that, there is a dire need to revolutionize the way we do things. The use of the word transformation should not be exclusive to technology, but used in the general context to advocate change and progress. The global security environment is getting more unpredictable, coupled with the scale of technological advancement that are impacting upon the dimension of threat. As such, future hostilities would be witnessed in a swifter pace, be more technically advanced and in more challenging circumstances. The onus would be upon us. The military needs to rapidly condition itself to this emerging threat and maintain a comparative advantage against any potential adversary. We should understand our choices. where our strength lies and work on it indefinitely. With that, I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, YBhg for the keynote address.